What's up, guys? Wildcard Weekend 2023, and my first video of the playoffs is going to be on Daniel Jones. I've heard some crazy praise for his performance against the Vikings, and so first of all, we know the Vikings defense stinks, right? But we know that the Giants don't really have great weaponry around Daniel Jones for him to work with. Last night on Sunday Night Football, I heard Jason Garrett at halftime raving about how Daniel Jones put the team on his back, and he carried the Giants to the victory. I heard, on Pardon My Take, the savants that they are, talking about how Daniel Jones has arrived and is a good quarterback. I got buddies of mine who I trust and typically respect the opinions of, saying that he is a borderline top 5 quarterback after last. On my first run through, I didn't see any of that when grading his game, so I think it's appropriate to go back and check. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. Real quick before we get started, I'm going to run through how I grade this game. If you're an old listener, you can skip ahead a couple minutes. If you're new, this might be helpful. 6 buckets. We got the elite throws. These are downfield bombs on a dime, Josh Allen type stuff. It's the kind of stuff that very few quarterbacks can do and almost no one can do consistently. A great throw is, a very deep ball that's catchable but maybe not perfectly placed, or it's like a perfect second level throw, like 18 to 25 yards downfield. All of these are subjective, so the yards I'm giving you are just guidelines. Everything is malleable, everything is context based and totally subjective. So somebody in a different video said, this is all just speculation. And I said, yeah, that's what scouting literally means. A solid throw is a positive throw that's not that difficult to make. It typically manifests itself in like 8 to 12 yard throws down the field past the line of scrimmage, or they can just be accurate throws on coverage bus, right? If a wide receiver runs a streak and the cornerback falls down, a throw that's accurate and gets to that receiver and lets him just take advantage of the coverage bus, that's good, right? You got to give him credit for reading the play out and being accurate, even if it's not a perfect ball. Bad throws are ones that are just inaccurate, or if they get batted. If a ball should be caught by a good starting defensive back, that's a pickable. Pickables don't always get picked. They're interceptable. That doesn't mean they're intercepted. And not all interceptions are always interceptable. Sometimes it's just bad luck, a deflection, a dropped ball, whatever. Most throws, almost every throw from almost every quarterback is going to be a pedestrian or routine throw. These are the things you expect your quarterback to hit, even if it's a backup. Checkdowns, quick hits, RPOs are typically pedestrian. I also grade the things that aren't just throws. The most prevalent one is going to be a positive pocket movement. This is any time that a quarterback extends the play or changes the launch angle to benefit the offense. Running around for no reason isn't positive, but in cases where it's actually helpful, you get a plus move. I also break sacks into ones that are the quarterback's fault and ones that aren't. I grade throwaways separately from all the above throws and then I break runs into positive, neutral, and negative. Neutral runs are about as effective as a check down. Positive runs are probably about 10 yards or more, and I give bonuses the further they are downfield. And then a negative run is anything that hurts the team. It's fumbles, really easy. Did the quarterback fumble? I don't care who recovers it. If they fumbled, it's a fumble. All right, now that everybody's with the program, let's watch the film and find out, was Daniel Jones actually great in this game? Was it just the Vikings defense being terrible? Was it some combination of the above? Only one way to find out. Let's get to the film. Due to a holding on first down, the Giants are going to be backed up, and here, Daniel Jones is going to hit a routine play. Now, I know it gets like 10 yards, but I want you to look. This is Richie James. Richie James is nobody, but he's wide open, and this ball is 6-7 yards downfield when it's caught. A question I'm going to pose for you throughout this game is, I know that Daniel Jones doesn't exactly have big name wide receivers. Watch this positive run. Picks up 8 yards. Good job. Just as useful as a solid throw. I know Daniel Jones doesn't have big name wide receivers. I know he doesn't even necessarily have very good receivers. Although I would argue that Darius Slayton does not get the credit he deserves. He's a legit wide receiver 2 on any team in this league. That being said, does it matter that these receivers kind of stink if they're constantly open and we're not penalizing Daniel Jones for drops? I would argue it doesn't. Here, Daniel Jones exhibits one of his best talents. He's really good at throwing the intermediate ball between like 8 and 15 yards downfield, and he's also really good at this. He's a good runner. It's not a gimmick. He's straight up a good runner. B+, A- runner. So that's 2 positive runs and a solid throw, and Saquon's going to finish it off here. Great run, good drive from Daniel Jones. The degree of difficulty wasn't that bad. It was pretty easy, but he executed, and he made positive plays. Daniel Jones is going to go for it. And again, 13 yards downfield, accurate. However, because of a pile up here. So Harrison Smith is the safety trying to run across and get to Darius Slayton. That's his guy, and he runs into this receiver. They just collide. No offensive pass interference, just a coincidence. The guy who was then guarding this receiver trips over the pile right there, and nobody's on Darius Slayton, and nobody's near Darius Slayton. So a routine, well, not routine, because it is downfield. It's a solid throw. Most quarterbacks can make that, but the fact that he spotted it and the fact that he threw the ball downfield with perfect placement, I'll give him a solid throw. But again, you'll notice throughout this game, it's not that the wide receivers are wide open most of the game, if not all the game. And part of that is because the Vikings defense is putrid. It is hard to watch. It's so bad. But some of it is like that. It's a really good throw. So already in this game, Daniel Jones has 4 positive throws. It's a good start. Little swing pass, nothing to it, super routine. This is a bad throw. He's late. So it's a bench concept again. You've got 2 inside lined up receivers going deep, probably on corners, doesn't matter. If you don't like what you have downfield, you have this running back leaking out, and you have Saquon. But if you're going to hit Saquon, you better hit him quick. Personally, I also like this tight end down here at the bottom. He focuses in on Saquon, probably the worst of his 3 options, and he throws it late. That's why it's incomplete, and that's a bad throw. Here, it's a routine throw. It's in time. It's accurate, but it's easy. And you're going to find that a lot in this game. Sure, Daniel Jones is accurate in this game, and the Giants score a lot of points. They're productive, but he's not really doing anything difficult. I think this run comes back for a hold, and therefore we can't grade it. Nope, it was an offsides. Okay, yeah. So that's another positive run. And that's not. It's a negative run. Sure, he did a good job of holding the ball, but you got to bounce that outside. You can get another 5 yards. It's a bad run. Here, great job escaping the pocket, and a solid run. It's not a positive run, but it's perfectly fine. Get you to 3rd and short, that's all you really need. It's about as useful as a check down, right? Here, fuck it, I'll give him a positive run. Got a 1st down, right? Move the chains, got like 6 yards. Running the football as a quarterback is tricky because it takes a talent that not a lot of quarterbacks have. Routine throw. Not a lot of quarterbacks are fast enough to like run the ball effectively as a true running facet rather than just like Tom Brady trudging down the field because nobody is in the middle of the field. But just because it's unique and impressive that they can run as compared to the rest of the quarterbacks does not make it particularly useful. So you have to keep in mind how much more efficient passing is than running when assigning credit for running plays. So like sure, Daniel Jones can break a 4-yard run where he breaks like 2-3 tackles and it looks really fucking cool. But if there was a dude wide open for 8 yards on the same play, it's a negative play. All right, let's grade this sack. Let's see. I think we're going to need all 22. 1st and 10, so everything's available. You could have thrown Saquon, but I understand why you wouldn't want to. Yeah, we're going to need all 22. So we'll get back to that after this drive. I love that they show us the replay of Daniel Jones just scrambling in the pocket like everybody didn't watch that the first time. Like the replay should be the all-22. It saved me some time. Here, plus move to get out of the pocket. And a solid run, a good run, a positive run, 10 yards. Good job. Here, this is more of a... it was going to be more of a neutral run until he broke it upfield. In this game, I ended up giving Daniel Jones, I think, 7 positive runs and 5 neutral runs. That one was a negative one. As a runner, he played well. There's a routine throw. And a routine throw. That's the one that comes back, because that would have been another positive run. A little Statue of Liberty play. And a Daniel Jones miss. Ooh. Third and goal, and he's behind and late. I'll show you that again, because you might be thinking, he dropped it. Well, you can't be that late. I know he's trying to use the back shoulder because he's got a linebacker right there, but first of all, Isaiah Hodgins is 6'4" and wide open in the end zone. You put that ball high, you let him take that thing. I understand that the ball's already out, and that's why the linebacker's biting up, but you can throw the ball over Eric Kendrick's fucking 5'11" head to the 6'4" guy standing open behind him. That said, if you're going to throw this ball, put it actually behind the wide receiver instead of on his chest, because then he can stop, reach back, and get it. Either way, that play was never going to be a first or a touchdown. I don't like that throw. I don't like that decision. It's a bad throw. Let's close out the half. I don't know what the Giants are thinking here. They should have just taken a knee. First pass is bad. Second pass is routine. And on third down, another routine. And now you kneel after you've taken all the risks. I don't get it. Real quick, because it's halftime, let's just look at what we've got so far from Daniel Jones. It was a good first half. It was a legitimate B performance first half. He had 6 positive runs, and that's where almost all of his grade comes from. He also had 4 good throws, although they were ticky-tacky. Like, the one to Slayton that was 13 yards downfield right here was so wide open. I don't really know how I can give him credit for this, but I'm trying to be optimistic because people are really psyched on this performance, and I simply don't see it. He also missed 4 times, typically because he's late on his reads. You'll notice that that's a theme with him, and he took a sack that he shouldn't. All right, let's see what he does in the second half. Let's see if he can bring this ferry home. Giants are going to come out running to start the second half, and Daniel Jones is going to hit a routine pass, and another routine pass. Now, there's nothing hard about that, right? Anybody can do that. You get Saquon Barkley on an old, broken down Eric Kendricks, and it's just easy. Here, okay, I am not impressed with Daniel Jones' processing post-snap, and here's why. He's consistently late on reads. Right here, this ball is designed to be out in this curl already. And if not, it needs to be at that corner. So he's already missed his read, regardless of whether the corner was open. Now, he rolls out and does a good job of finding Isaiah Hodgins, and Eric Kendricks is completely lost on this play. This is the front of Eric Kendricks' face mask, I believe. Notice how he runs away from the receiver he's covering for no good reason. I know, I should be doing this on all 22, but frankly, ugh, you don't need to. Why is he running this way? There's no possible reason to be running that way. You can see, it's not like there was a receiver uncovered over that way, he just got confused. I don't understand what's going on. Okay, so right here, you see that Isaiah Hodgins is a receiver. That's who he's covering. So you would imagine that every movement Eric Kendricks takes from now until the end of the play will be towards the man he's covering, except, watch. He breaks down and runs the other fucking way. It's so bad, it's like somebody's playing Madden and they drop their controller for a second. So, yeah, it's a routine throw. I'm not impressed. I will give him a plus movement, though, because he did make some things happen. And then here, it doesn't get easier. Sure, he was rolling out, but that's not a plus movement. That's called a play, right? It's a bootleg. And sure, he was rolling left, but it was a 4-yard throw? This is easy. I make this throw. And I should not play quarterback for your high school, much less your NFL team. I'm washed. So, Daniel Jones did his job. I'm not particularly impressed. But they were productive. Both teams are refusing to play defense, so we're going to have to keep on throwing the ball, huh? It's nice for us. It gives us a nice large sample. It's another routine throw. Yes, he run ball. Alright, let's get to some passing. Another routine throw. Richie James is wide open, right? There's nobody near him. This ball gets tipped at the line, and that's why it's incomplete. Right there. That's the ball getting tipped. Now, Daniel Jones is very short. He's only like 6'5". I understand why he's getting balls tipped at the line. Wrong. No, getting balls tipped has less to do with height, more to do with trajectory of your arm, and more to do with spatial awareness. That was just a bad throw. Almost all tip balls are. Right here, Daniel Jones is a little bit up a creek. Covered, 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 covered. And all kind of bunched up on 3rd and 7. So, really, it doesn't have a lot to work with. Now, Saquon does sneak out, but he falls, and that's going to fuck up Daniel Jones' processing. So right here, sure, get the ball to Saquon. He actually has a really good opportunity to get it first. But by then, it's too late. He's already in the grasp. That's a no-fault sack. Things happen. Offense breaks down. Totally not Daniel Jones' fault. The Vikings have climbed back into this game, so it's going to be nut-cutting time. And Daniel Jones is pressured and throws the ball away. Now again, he's looking this way. This throw is open. You have to put it on the sideline, but it's open. He doesn't like it. He just throws the ball away. Daniel Jones is consistently late. I'm going to give him a throwaway for that, but not a plus pocket movement. Here, couldn't be simpler. Just super routine, easy throw. Again, doesn't matter if the wide receivers are big name. Dable gets them in space, and so does Kafka. Give Kafka his credit. But, notice I haven't been impressed by a throw in a long time. And here, this one's borderline pickable. I think that's pickable. We got to go to the all-22, I believe. Unless this replay shows us. Yeah, so they're going to call pass interference. I think that's a crazy call. We'll go to the all-22 and we'll look at it later after this drive ends, but that might be pickable. At the best, it's bad. Here's another routine throw. So, in this half, in the 3rd and 4th quarters so far, he's had one downfield throw, and it was arguably interceptable. Now here, this is nice. Rolls left. Line of scrimmage is the plus 45. Ball lands at the 25. It's 20 yards downfield on the sideline. Now, it required an incredible catch. And we'll give Isaiah Hodgins his flowers because it required an incredible catch. This is not an easily caught ball. But that's where you want that ball. That's a great throw. It's not quite elite. If it were elite, it would have been zipped in with a little bit more velocity, lower so it's easier for him to catch, and it would have been a little earlier in the play so that he doesn't have to get pushed out of bounds. But it's a great throw. And he gets a plus movement on it as well, by the way. And then here, this is a bad throw. Now, Slayton almost gets this ball, as you'll see here. Slayton almost gets this ball, but he does a lot of manipulating. This is one thing I love about this dude. So he's really fast, obviously, right? And right here, he's already got a step. He could decide, fuck you, Duke Shelley. I am burning you to the back of the end zone. I am cooking you with speed. But he knows that Daniel Jones is not ready to throw him that ball. So he slows it down, he jogs it, and sets himself up for a jump ball. Now, that jump ball was too far outside. Yes, it hits him in the hands, but what they're not showing you is where his feet are when it hits him in the hands. It's almost impossible to catch that ball and stay in bounds. That's the Hodgins catch from earlier. That was really good footwork. So Jones, I'm going to give him a bad throw on that one. It was a little too far outside. It was late. He turned what should have been a really easy go ball into a jump ball. If you want to go with good because you think that a true wide receiver one mosses this cornerback and stays in bounds, be my guest. I'm not convinced. But either way, this just goes to show, it's an example of Daniel Jones' probably biggest weakness, which is his deep ball accuracy is not good. He can throw the ball deep on certain kinds of plays, but streaks in particular, really bad. So no plus pocket movement because He's not being pressured whatsoever. He's just moving the pocket for throwing angles, and he eventually throws the ball away. Simple play. Here is a one-read play, right? Like when he broke the huddle, he knew he was going to Richie James, puts the ball on him inaccurately. That ball's behind him. If that ball leads him, he's upfield for another yard, and it's a first down. So that's on Daniel Jones. Luckily for Daniel Jones, it doesn't matter. Get the neutral run on the quarterback sneak, and a fresh set of downs. Here, this throwaway feels a little premature. Okay, right here the play is developing, and you do have your tight end open. It's going to take a laser, but a really good quarterback even, lasers it in there. Daniel Jones has decent arm strength, not great arm strength. Because he's late on that laser, doesn't have the confidence, he just tosses it out the back of the end zone, and that's nice. Now, sure, there's a hold here, but I don't think it really affects the play. We're still going to give it a throwaway. And Saquon Barkley is going to punch it in. We're going to check out the tight copy here. This should give us a better view of exactly how pickable this ball was. I'm going to pause it here, and we're going to slow this down to half speed, just to be safe. Definitely a bad pass. You could argue about the pickability. It looks like the defensive back played the pass instead of trying to make a play on the ball himself. I won't hold it against anybody if they want to go one of two ways, but I do think that that was an interceptable ball, and I think that the defensive back's reaction tells you that he realized he made a poor play on the ball. This game is basically over. As long as the Giants move the ball a little bit, we're going to get out of here. Daniel Jones on the first play misses. He leaves it behind. Bad pass. Second play, under a little bit of pressure. Right, the cornerback blitz almost gets home, so plus movement, and he floats it over the top for a nice little completion. On first down here, I know you're trying to run the ball so you can just churn clock, but Daniel Jones does a really bad job of that because he goes out of bounds and he doesn't gain any yards. Now, I'm not necessarily saying there were yards to be gained on that play. What I am saying is that he ran the ball. You don't run the ball with quarterbacks who can't run the ball. And it wasn't effective, and he went out of bounds, stopping the clock. Redeems himself a little bit with a routine throw. And pushes it across on a quarterback sneak. That's another neutral run. Why are quarterback sneaks neutral runs, even though they're such a positive thing, and they almost always result in a touchdown or a first down? Because they never fail. Like, if anybody stops a quarterback sneak in this day and age, especially now that they've legalized the Bush push, there's no reason any quarterback ever should not get every quarterback sneak ever. Shout out to Tyler Huntley. Here, I'm actually going to give Daniel Jones a neutral sack because I believe he could have tried something or would have thrown the ball away if the circumstances were different. But he's very clearly trying to not stop the clock. He's trying to keep the clock running. And here, this is crushing. So again, the theme of the day has been, is it impressive to produce with bad receivers if they're this wide open? Maybe, because they drop things, right? So you have to be more precise. But in our grading system, we don't penalize Daniel Jones for drops. Also, it's remarkable how much it looks like Darius Slayton has been photoshopped into the Viking head. So yeah, that's a drop, and that's killer, because if he catches it, this probably ends the game, because he's probably going to get a first down. It's a routine throw, because it's wide open and it's not far downfield. The question again, is that difficult? Is that throw somehow more difficult because Darius Slayton is a name that few people have heard of and started the year on the edge of the roster? I'd say no. And I would extrapolate that to the rest of the game. There's not a prayer in hell that this pass to Hawkinson results in a first down. The fuck are you doing, Kirk? That's why you lost. Honestly, Kirk Cousins played a pretty good game. I think he played better than Daniel Jones. But this is not a Kirk Cousins video. This is a Daniel Jones video, and the reason I showed you this part is so that I could let you see the kneel downs and do this. That's all the film we got. Let's get to the charts. Now, as I stated at the beginning of this video in the intro, the reason I'm making this video is because people are freaking out about Daniel Jones. I heard Big Cat of Pardon My Take say that Daniel Jones clearly, without a doubt, played the best game of any quarterback this weekend. No. I heard some of my New York friends saying that Daniel Jones has arrived. He's an elite starting quarterback in this NFL. I heard people saying that he carried the Giants to this victory, and then, as you'll see in the thumbnail photo, myriad news articles writing about how he was heroic and tremendous, and it's a dream come true, and people on Twitter are even trying to absolve David Gettleman of his sins as a GM because apparently he was right to have drafted Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley where he did. Now listen, I'm not saying Daniel Jones played poorly, but I am saying that if you are impressed by this, you have a very low bar and you should be impressed by a lot of quarterbacks, namely Kirk Cousins. By this point in the video, we've watched all the film. You've seen every snap and we've graded all, so we know exactly how he played. If we're being generous, Daniel Jones had 6 positive throws. It's undeniable that throw down the left sideline to Isaiah Hodgins was great. Really, really good. 20 yards downfield, great placement. Could have been a little easier on his receiver, but it was a tight window and he fed it in there. Difficult to make that throw. Not many quarterbacks have the skill, the arm talent, the physical prowess to make it in the first. So good job. He then had 5 solid. 3 of them were not covered, right? These are the ones like the one to Slayton in the first quarter for 14 yards downfield where the guy defending Slayton tripped, causing the guy that would have been closest to tackling Slayton to also trip. Sure, it's solid because it's downfield and it's Daniel Jones recognizing and taking advantage of a coverage bust, but it's not actually that impressive. If you take those 3 away, you're left with 3 throws that were sustainable, practical, NFL good throw. And you don't have to make that many positive throws to have a good game if you're avoiding mistakes. But the problem is that Daniel Jones, despite the extremely easy degree of difficulty, wasn't that special. He was accurate on 75.7% of aimed passes. So you take out the throwaways, you don't count those. He's not trying to hit anybody. You take out the drops. Those aren't his fault. That last throw to Slayton should have caught that. That was accurate. 75.7% accurate. Well, the league average is almost 73. It's about 72.5. So he's slightly above average, but he's not doing anything difficult. I actually invented a new stat within the last week or so. It's just accuracy plus. So I take out all the easy throws, all the routine, pedestrian, expected passes, the screens, the check down, all that. So I only count positive plays. So elite, great, and solid throws count as accurate. And then the denominator is elite, great, solid throws, as well as bad throws and interceptions. The league average is a little over 46%. Daniel Jones hit 40%. What does that mean? It means that when Daniel Jones was asked to throw downfield or make difficult passes, he wasn't particularly effective at it. He was being carried largely by scheme. And that makes sense, because if you look at his positive play rate versus his negative play rate, he had exactly the same amount of positive plays as negative plays. He was exactly what you would expect. Both are a little below average, so the offense was very safe and very easy, and he responded by meeting expectations. He had the great throw that you're impressed by, but he had the interceptable throw that totally could have ruined their chances to win this game. It is totally conceivable that if that ball gets picked off, the Vikings have a short field, they take the lead, and they're the ones that win by 7. Totally possible. In a coin flip game like this, look no further than his cheap play method. Cheap plays are just all the neutral runs and pedestrian throws. The stuff that you would do if you had a backup quarterback in. 55%. League average, 46%. So by no means did Daniel Jones have an outstanding. Now, you can argue that he played clean, and you could argue that this offense is really well oiled, and even with, let's call them small-time wide receivers, they're gonna have dudes wide open all the time. And as long as they catch the ball, shout out Darius Slayton, who I actually do love, and I've been tweeting about him for like 2 weeks now, because I love Darius Slayton. If he could just catch, he would be amazing. But you could argue that this offense is so efficient and so masterfully designed that you just need a quarterback who can be average, who can just hit the checkdowns, who can just make sure that the ball's not getting turned over. Just do the little things. And, Daniel Jones did have 6 positive runs. They were all in the first half, but 6 positive runs is really helpful. Now, it's a double-edged sword. If you take away his runs, just all the positive and negative runs, all of a sudden Daniel Jones played terrible. So as a passer, he's actually not very good. Even in this very easy game, he was not a good passer. But overall, if you're saying you need a game manager for this this great offense, then don't pay Daniel Jones. Walk away from him. Find yourself another average player. There's about 30 quarterbacks that could do what Daniel Jones is doing in this offense. And maybe they don't run as well, but they pass a little better. Maybe they don't pass as well, but they run a little better. There are plenty of he doesn't do anything special. He's not transcending. He's not carrying the team. And that's kind of the point here. I know it's New York, and the media reaction when New York has a winner is going to be special and excitable. I know that Daniel Jones was dunked on Twitter for years, and all of a sudden he doesn't look so bad, so it's kind of like puzzling. It's a little bit exciting. It's fun. Maybe we were wrong and we have one more good quarterback. But you just watch this game with me. I think I was really generous. Like I said, I gave him 3 solid throws that I honestly believe I could have. Not because I'm a good quarterback. I should not start for your local high school. But because nobody was covering the dude, and he's 13 yards downfield. I can play catch with my dad. He'd still throw because he's getting a little old. But you know what I mean. If you can play catch with your dad or your buddy at the beat, you can make those 3 throws. And I still gave Daniel Jones solid grade on. Those are still positive plays. God forbid you take him out. All of a sudden, this is a C- D+ game. Because all of a sudden he's got a lot fewer positive plays than negative plays. And his accuracy plus score is 25%, which would be one of the lowest I've ever seen in my life. What do you guys think I'm missing? Because I know a lot of people are really high on Daniel Jones right now, and like I said, the mediascape is abuzz with praise for him. I've graded almost every single snap he's taken this season, and I graded every snap he took last season. I haven't been impressed. I am really impressed by Brian Dable. I am somewhat impressed by Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton. I think that they have earned NFL careers this year. I don't know if they'll be starters anywhere. I think Slayton should be. But my point is, when you barely beat a really flawed Vikings team with a terrible defense especially, and you don't make many throws that move the needle, I don't understand why people are so excited. Hit me in the comments. Point to a play. I'd love to hear from you. I don't really want to hear any narrative stuff. Like, if you've got a comment like Daniel Jones is a leader and that's why we're going to win the Super Bowl, type that into your phone, send it to your mother, and then unfollow my account. But if you think that there's something on the film, let's talk. Anyway, until next time, I'll be watching film.